Hello and greetings, my friends. Your good pals Isaac and the Lich here, and today we're going to do exactly what I mentioned on Twitter, and that is to do a live reading of Dawn of the Jedi, Into the Void. As a kind of, how should we say, Lich? As he noms on his cracker, give him a minute.
Remember, if I said this correctly, this is not a we thing. This is a you thing.
It's a point of a certain individual claims, and I quote, when we created Star Wars, the sequel series, we did not have books to base it on or anything else. I hate to disagree, as I have one of those wonderful 100-page plus novels in my hand. So I welcome you to Dawn of the Jedi. The Lich is behind me, nomming on his crackers, playing his phone games. Perhaps he shall join us, perhaps he will not. Who knows?
I'm just here to listen.
Ha Shit, I need something to drink. Lich, can you grab me some water, please? Because this is going to be a long way. And excuse me 1 second while I tweet this out to Twitter. Not that we have really a large. Did you make sure that was clean?
Yes.
Are you sure about that?
Yes. It's fine. It's going in the same place.
Did you make sure that it was clean?
Yes. I looked down in there and didn't see anything.
Alright. When I get sick, I know who to blame.
They're always sick.
No, you are always sick.
It's not the worst.
But greetings, everyone, and welcome, of course, to the live reading. I know we have not quite started the book yet. Lich, would you do us the honors to play an appropriate
what?
bit of music as we begin?
What do you want me to do? Pull out the fucking bongos?
I was thinking more along the lines of pulling up some Star Wars music, but anyway, let's begin. A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, and no, this is not part of the book, 25,000 years before the Jedi, the Republic, and all else, the Dawn of the Jedi begins. Chapter 1. Dark Matters. She is a little girl. The sky seems wide and endless. And Lanare Barak breathes in the wonders of Tython as she runs to find her brother. Dalen is down by the estuary. Dear God, I'm having trouble already. It's been a while since I've done actual reading out loud. Estuary again. He likes being alone, away from all the other children of Badhi. The Jedi Temple of the Arts. So before they were called Jedi, apparently they were called the Jedi?
That sounds very,
Weird. It's
Islamic there.
It's spelled Jedai. Huh. Okay. Hey, one of our regulars here. When I think the title Dawn of the Jedi, it makes me want Jedi zombies. Not quite yet. Her parents have sent her to find him, and though they still have some teaching to do that afternoon, they promise that they will walk up to the boundary of the edge of the forest that evening. Lanori loves it up there, and it scares her a little as well. Close to the temple, near the sea, she can feel the force ebbing and flowing through everything. The air she breathes, the sights she sees, and all that makes up the beautiful scenery. Up at the edge of the forest, there is a primal wilderness to the forest that sets her blood pumping. Her mother will smile and say that she will learn about it all, given time. Her father will look silently into the forest, as if he silently learns to explore that way. And her little brother, only 9 years old, will start to cry. Wow, a little mean there, Missy. Always at the edge of the forest, he cries. Doll! She swishes through the long grasses close to the riverbank, hands held out by her side so that the grass caresses her palms. She won't tell him about the walk planned for that evening. If she does, he'll get moody, and he may not agree to come with her. He can be like that sometimes, and their father says it's a sign of someone finding his own way. Doll doesn't seem to have hurt her, and as she closes on him, she slows from a run to a walk and thinks, if that was me, I'd have sensed me approaching ages ago. Doll's head remains dipped. By his side, he has created a perfect circle using the stones of chewed nibbles, his favorite fruit. He does that when he's thinking. The river flows by, fast and full from the recent rains. There's a power to it that is intimidating, and close. In closing her eyes, Lanori feels the force and senses the myriad of life forms that call the river home. Some are as small as her finger, others that swim upriver from the ocean almost half the size of a cloud chaser ship. She knows from her studies that many of them have teeth. She bites her lip, hesitant. Then she probes out with her mind, and I told you never to do that to me. Doll? He stands and turns around, and he looks furious. Just for a moment, there's a fire in his eyes that she doesn't like. She has seen those flames before, and carries the knotted scar tissue in her own lower lip to prove it. Then his anger slips, and he smiles. Sorry, you startled me, that's all. You're drawing? She asks, seeing the sketchbook. Doll closes the book. It's rubbish. I don't believe that, Lanori says. You're really good. Temple Master Finn himself says so. Temple Master Finn is a friend of Father's. Lanori ignores the insinuation and walks closer to her brother. She can already see that he has chosen a fine place from which to draw the surroundings. The river curves here, and a smaller tributary joins from the hills of the edge of the forest, causing a confusion of currents. The undergrowth on the far bank is colorful and vibrant. There's a huge old oak tree, whose hollow trunk is home to a flight of wee birds. Their spun golden threads glisten in the afternoon. The bird song complements the river's roar. Let me see, Lanori says. Doll does not look at her, but he opens the pad. It's beautiful. The force has guided your fingers, Doll. But she's not sure. Doll picks up a heavy pencil from his pocket and sticks 5 thick lines through his drawing. left to right, tearing the paper and ruining it forever. His expression does not change, and neither does his breathing. It's almost as if there is no anger at all. "There," he says. "That's better." For a moment, the lines look like claw marks. And as Lannery takes a breath and blinks, a soft, incessant alarm pulled her up from the sleep. Lannery sighed and sat up, rubbing her eyes, massaging the dream away. Dear doll, she dreamed of him often, but there were usually dreams of those latter times when everything was turning bad. Not when they were still children, for whom Tython was full of potential. Perhaps it was because she was on her way home. She had not been back to Tython for more than 4 years. She was a Jedi Ranger, and so ranging is what she did. You think? Some Rangers found reasons to return to Tython regularly. Family connection, continuous training, face-to-face debriefs. It all amounted to the same thing. They hated being away from home. She also believed that there were those Jedi who felt the need to immerse themselves in Tython's force-rich surroundings from time to time, as if uncertain that their affinity with the Force was strong enough. Lannery had no such doubts. She was comfortable with her strength and the balance in the Force. The short period she had spent with others on retreats on Ashla and Bogan, a voluntary part of Padawan's training, should they desire to go, made her even more confident in this. She stood from her cot and stretched. She reached for the ceiling and grabbed the bar she welded there herself. My eyes are not having the fun time today. Pulling up, breathing softly, then lifting her legs and stretching them out over her horizontal to the floor. Her muscles quivered, and she breathed deeply as she felt the force flowing through her. A vibrant, living thing. Mental exercise and meditation were fine, but sometimes she took the greatest pleasure in exerting herself physically. She believed that to be strong with the Force, one had to be strong in body. The alarm was still ringing. "I'm awake," she said, easing herself slowly back down to the floor. "In case you hadn't noticed." The alarm snapped off, and her peacemaker ship, grubber yellow maintenance droid, ambled into the small living quarters on padded metal feet. It was one of many adaptations she'd made to the ship in her years out in the Tython system. Most peacemakers carried a very simple droid, but she'd updated hers to a holograrian IM-220. Okay, holograrian, I don't know what that is. Capable of limited communication with a human master, and other duties not necessarily exclusive to ship maintenance. She further customized it with some heavy armor, doubling its weight but making it much more useful to her risky scenarios. She spoke to it, it replies were obtuse, and she supposed it was the equivalent of trying to communicate with a grass kapir back home. She'd even named it. "Hey, Iron Hulks, you better not have woken me early." The droid beeped and scraped, and she wasn't sure whether it was getting cranky in its old age. She looked around the small but comfortable living quarters. She had chosen a peacemaker over a hunter because of its size, even before she'd flown her first mission as a Jedi Ranger. She knew that she would be eager to spend much of her time in space. A hunter was fast and agile, too small to live in. The Peacemaker was a compromise on maneuverability, but she had spent long periods living alone on the ship. She preferred it this way. And like most Rangers, she had many modifications and additions to her ship that stamped her own identity upon it. She stripped out the table and chairs and replaced them with weights and tension racks for working out. Now, she ate her food sitting on her narrow cot. She replaced the HoloNet entertainment system with an older flat screen, which doubled as communication center and reduced the ship's net weight. Besides the extensive engine compartment, there had been a small room that housed a second cot for guests or companions. But because she had neither, she had filled the space with extra laser-charged pods, a water cycling unit, and food stores. The ship's 4 laser cannon turrets had also been upgraded, and it now also carried plasma missiles and drone missiles for long-distance combat. At the hands of the Cathar Master Armorer Gen Korla, the cannons now packed 3 times more punch and were effective for twice the range as those on standard Peacemakers. That's a lot to know about a ship. She also altered and adapted the function and position of many cockpit controls, making it so that only she could effectively fly the ship. It was hers. It was her home. And that's how she liked it. "How long to Tython?" she asked. The droid let out a series of whines and clicks. "Right," Lannery said. "Suppose I'd better freshen up." She brushed her touchpad, and the darkened screens in the forward cockpit faded to clear, revealing the star-speckled view that never failed to make her heart ache. There was something so profoundly moving to the distance and scales of what she saw. And the Force never let her forget that she was a part of something incomprehensibly large. She supposed it was as close as she'd ever came to a religious epiphany, I should say. She touched the pad again, and a red glow appeared, surrounded in the speck of distance. Tython. 3 hours she'd be there. The Jedi Council ordering her back to Tython meant only one thing. They had a mission for her, and it was one they needed to discuss face to face. Washed, dressed, and fed, Lannery sat in the ship's cockpit and watched Tython drawing closer. Her ship had communicated with sentry drones orbiting at 30,000 kilometers. And now the Peacemaker was performing a graceful parabola that would take it down into the atmosphere just above the equator. She was nervous about visiting Tython again, but part of her was excited as well. It would be good to see her mother and father, however briefly. She contacted them far too infrequently. With Dahl dead, she was now their only child. Oh no! Her brother is dead. That's bad.
Who would have thought after it's a character having a dream of better time?
A soft chime announced an incoming transmission. She swiveled her seat and faced the flat screen. Just as it snowed into an image. "Master Dempal," Lorraine said, surprised. "An honor." And it was. She was expected the welcoming transmission to be from a Jedi Ranger, or perhaps even a Journeyer. She did not know. Not the Cathar Jedi Master. Dempal bowed her head. "Lorraine, it's good to see you again. We've been eagerly awaiting your arrival. Pressing matters beg discussion. Dark matters." "I assumed that was the case," Lorraine said. She shifted in her seat, uncomfortably nervous. I sense your discomfort, Master Dempal said. Forgive me. It's been some time since I spoke with a Jedi Master. I keep trying to say Jedi. Because I'm used to Jedi Masters, not Jedi, whatever the hell this is. You feel unsettled even with me? Dempal asked, smiling. But the smiling quickly slipped. No matter, prepare yourself, because today you speak with 6 masters, including Stavkash's temple master, Lami. I hate it when they do this, where they take like half a word and they put it on like one line and like a little splash mark, and then just put it on the bottom.
Yeah.
It's like, how, are you trying to make this difficult to read? Is that what you're going with? I've set your ship landing coordinates for a meeting place. 30 kilometers of a car cache. We'll expect you soon. Master, we're not meeting at the temple. But Paul had already broken the transmission, and Lannery was left staring at a blank screen. She could see her image reflected there, and she quickly gathered herself, breathing away the shock. 6 Jedi Masters? And Lahami as well? Then it is something big. She checked the transmission coordinates and switched the flight computer to manual, eager to make the final approach herself. She had always loved flying and the freedom it gave her, untethered almost as a free agent. Lannery closed her eyes briefly and breathed with a force. It was strong this close to Tython. Elemental, and it sparked her senses alive. By the time the Peacemaker sliced into Tython's outer atmosphere, Lannery's excitement was growing. The landing zone was nestled in the very small valley, with giant standing stones on the surrounding hills. She could see several other ships, including hunters and other peacemakers. It was a strange place for such a meeting, but the Jedi Council would have its reasons. She guided her ship into an elegant arc and landed almost without a jolt. Solid ground, she whispered. Iron Halls. I don't know how long we'll be here, but take the opportunity to run a full systems check. Anything we need, we can pick up from a car cache before we leave. The droid emitted a mechanical sigh. Lannery probed gently outward, and when she sensed that the air pressures had equalized, she opened the lower hull hatch. The smells that flooded in grass, running water, that curious charged smell that seemed to permeate the atmosphere almost around most temples, brought a rush of nostalgia for the planet she had left behind. But there was no time for personal musings. 3 journeyers were waiting for her, wide-eyed and excited. Welcome, Ranger Brock, the tallest of the 3 said.
Oh no, it's Brock.
I'm sure, she said. Where are they waiting for me? Oh. Master Lami's Peacemaker, another journeyer said. We're here to escort you. Please follow us. I'm here representing the Council of Masters, the Talid Temple Master Lami said. Forgive us for not welcoming you back to Tython and more celebrious surroundings. But necessity this mating must be convert. His long white hair glowed in the room's artificial light. He was old and wise, and Lannery was pleased to see him again. It's so nice to see you back, Lannery said. She bowed. Please, please, Lamy pointed to a seat, and Lannery sat facing him and the other 5 Jedi Masters. This peacemaker's living quarters had been pared down to provide a circular table with 8 seats around it, and a little more. She nodded a silent greeting to Lamy and Dampal, and the Cathar Master Tim Modag. But the other 3 she did not know. It seems that things had moved swiftly while she had been away, especially when it came down to promotions. Ranger Brock, Master Dampal said, smiling. It's wonderful to see you again in the flesh. She was a master of Anel Kesh, the Jedi Temple of Science, and during Lannery's training there, she and Dampal had formed a close bond. It was she, more than any other, who had expressed the conviction that Lannery would be a great Jedi one day. It was also Dampal who had revealed and encouraged the areas of the Force, use at which Lannery was most skilled: metallurgy, elemental manipulation, alchemy. Likewise, Dampal, Lannery said, How are your studies? Progressing, Lannery said. Whoever wrote this has just made this as just broken up as possible. So I wonder I'm able to read it all at some points. There was a hidden place in her peacemaker ship, and a container holding a very personal equipment, and sometimes she spent long hours at work there. Her alchemical skills still seemed fledgling sometimes, but the sense of accomplishment and the power she felt while using them were almost addictive. You're a talented Jedi, Master Tamadog said. I can sense your experience and strength growing with years. It was a Durasteel sword forged by his master smith that hung by Lannery's side. The blade had saved her life on many occasions, and on other occasions it had taken lives. It was her third arm, a part of her. In the 4 years since leaving Tython, she had never been more than an arm's reach from the weapon. And she felt it now, cool and solid, keen in the presence of its master. I honor the Force, as well as I can, Lannery said. I am the mystery of darkness and balance, with chaos and harmony. She smiled as she quoted the Jedi Oath, and some of the masters smiled back. Some of them, the 3, did not. No remained expressionless. She probed gently, knowing she was risking punishment, yet unable to break her old habit. She always liked knowing who she was talking to. And as they had not introduced themselves, she thought it only fair. They closed themselves to her, and one, a Wookiee, growled deep in his throat. You have served the Jedi and Tython well during your years as a ranger, said Lamy. And sitting before us now, you must surely believe that we mean you no ill. I understand that this meeting might seem strange, and that being faced with us might seem daunting, intimidating perhaps. But there is no need to invade another's privacy, Lannery, especially a master's. No need at all. Apology, Master Lamy, Lannery said, wincing inwardly. You might have been in the wild, she berated herself, but be mindful of Jedi formality. The Wookiee laughed. I am Zang. Okay. Am I reading that right?
I had to look at it for a minute because I thought it was a Z.
All I can think of now is I'm just picturing Chewbacca in like a freaking Chinese man's outfit with long freaking whiskers and a hookah. Why? What? Why do I keep picturing an Oriental Wookiee? Why?
There were Oriental Wookiees.
One of the strangers, a female of the Sith species, said, "Your father taught me, and now I teach under him at Bodhi, a temple. A wise man and good at magic tricks." For an instant, Larnie felt a flood of emotion that surprised her. She remembered her father's tricks from when she and Doll were children. How he'd pull objects out of thin air, turn one thing into another. Back then, she believed he was using mastery of the Force. But he had told her that there were some things not even the Force could do. Tricks, he'd said, "I'm merely fooling your senses, not touching them with my own." "And how is he?" Lannery asked. "He's fine," Zing said. Red skin creasing with a mile. Wait, what? Okay, so Zing isn't the Wookiee, she's the Sith. Okay. Now, for those of you who...
Yeah, because I was about to say, I've never known a Wookiee to, speak.
So for those of you who don't know, originally the Sith were actually a race of people, not like an order. They were red-skinned. If you've ever played the game Old Republic, you know what I'm talking about. So this is 25,000 years before all that. So this is before supposedly they turned like super evil. Somewhere down the Rhine, I don't know. Okay.
I still find it amusing now. I'm still not gonna get out of my head a fucking Wookiee dressed in Oriental clothes going, "My name is Zane."
He's fine, Zhang said, her red skin creasing with a smile. "He and your mother send their best wishes. They hoped you could visit them, but given the circumstances, they understand why that would be difficult." Circumstances? Zan glanced sidelong at Lamy, and then back at Lorne. When she spoke again, it was not to answer her query. "We have a mission for you. It's delicate and extremely important." Lanori sensed a shift in the room's atmosphere. For a few moments, they sat in almost complete silence. Temple Master Lamy, 5 other Jedi Masters, and her. Air conditioning hummed. And through the chair she could feel the deep, more incessant vibration of the Peacemaker's powerful source. Her own breath was loud. Her heart beat the moments by. The Force flowed through her and around her, and she felt history pivoting on this moment. Her own history and story. And that of the Jedi civilization as well. Something staggering was going to happen. "Why did you choose me? There are many other Rangers all across the system. Some much closer than me. It's taken me 19 days to reach here from Abri." "2 reasons," Zing said. "First, you're particularly suited to investigating as required. Your time on Kalimar, brokering the hang-laden deal, displayed your sensitivity in dealing with inhabitants on the settled worlds. Your actions on Nox saved many lives, and your defusing of the Wookiee land wars on Skagora probably prevented a civil war. It was hardly defusing, Lanare said. The deaths were unfortunate, Lamy said, but they prevented countless more. Lanare thought of the giant apex tree of flame, countless burning leaves drifting in the vicious winds that sometimes stirred the jungles. The sound of millennial tree trunks splitting and rupturing in an intense firestorm, the screams of dying Wookiees. And she thought of her own fingers on the triggers of the laser cannons, raised and yet more than ready to fire again. It was me or them, she thought. Whenever the dream haunted her, and she knew that to be true. She had tried everything else. Everything. But in the end, diplomacy gave way to blood. Yet each time she dreamed, the force was in turmoil within her, dark and lying and light vying for supremacy. Light tortured her with those memories. Dark would let her settle easy. You have saved tens of thousands, Aang said. Maybe more. The Wookiee warlord, Grakana, had to be stopped. What are you doing, phone? It first started trying to take a selfie, and then it looked up the definition warlord. So, let me get this straight, phone. So apparently, my phone decided that I was trying to, I don't know, take a selfie while look up the definition of what a warlord is.
Here comes the CIA. Gonna show up here in a minute now.
I guess. We heard something about a warlord over here. I was just reading a Star Wars book. My phone apparently didn't understand a Wookiee name.
What's the Wookiee name? It was
Garkana or something.
Oh my god! So I thought you said Google. What? Oh, this would be worse if it was the whatever we got.
What?
The circular thing that's the one you could talk to.
The spirit board?
No. The
Oh, the little Google thing that I
Yeah.
had for a while. The little Google Mini.
you would have said something about that and we're like, Warlord, got it!
Oh no. Okay. I only wish he had not fought to the end. Lannery glanced at the Wookiee master, and he nodded slowly, never taking his eyes from hers. He had great pride and carried his sadness as well. You said 2 reasons, Lannery said. Yes. Zing seemed suddenly uncomfortable, shifting in her seat. Perhaps I should relay the rest of the information, Lami said. The mission first, the threat that has risen against the Jedi, and perhaps even Tython itself. And when you know that, you will understand why we have chosen you. Of course, Lannery said. I'm honored to be here, and keen to hear any threat against Tython is a threat against everything I love. Everything we all love. Lami said, For 10,000 years we have studied the Force, and developed our society around within it. Wars and conflicts have come and gone. We strive to keep the dark and the light, Bogan and Ashla, forever in balance. But now there is something that might destroy us all. One man and his dreams to leave the Tython system and travel out into the galaxy. Many people desire to do so, and it's something I understand. However settled we are in the system, any educated being knows that our history lies out there, beyond everything we know and understand, but this man seeks another route. What other route? Lannery asked, her skin prickled with fear. A hypergate, Lami said. But there's no hypergate on Tython, Lannery said. Only tales of one in the old city, but they're just that, tales. Tales? Lami said, his eyes heavy and beard drooping as he lowered his head. But some people would chase a tale as far and as hard as they can, and seek to make it real. We have intelligence that this man is doing such a thing. He believes that there is a hypergate deep beneath the ruins of the old city, on the continent of Tals. He seeks to activate it. How? She asked. A device, Lami said. We don't know its nature or its design, but our source tells us it is fueled by dark matter, harnessed through arcane means, forbidden, dreaded, the most dangerous element known to us, and with which no Jedi would ever dare attempt to capture or create. But there's no hypergate. Tales, Lami said again. He chases a legend, but whether it exists or not is irrelevant. The threat is the dark matter he intends to use to try and initiate the supposed gateway. He trailed off and looked to his side. It could destroy Tython, Dom Powell said. Exposing dark matter to normal matter would be cataclysmic. It would create a black hole, swallowing Tython in a heartbeat. The rest of the system, too. And if this is a hypergate, and does work... Silence for a while, and then one of the 3 masters she did not know spoke. Her first and last words of the meeting. Then the danger to the Jedi would be very different, but equally severe. So you see, the dire threat we face, Lami Jane said. Just one man, so arrest him. We don't know where he is. We don't even know which planet he's on. The little intelligence you have is so sound? Lannery asked. But she already knew the answer to that. Such a gathering of Jedi Masters for this purpose would not have taken place otherwise. We have no reason to doubt it, Lami said, and every reason to fear. If it does transpire, then the threat is not as severe as it appears. Then that's a good thing. All we waste is time. But the hypergate, Lannery said. Protect it? Guard it? Lami leaned forward to the table. With a blink, he closed off the cabin air conditioning, ceased. The door slammed shut and locked. The hypergate is a tale, and that is all. Lonery nodded, but she also knew that talking about a simple story would surely not require such care, in such an arrangement as this. For later, she thought, guarding her thoughts. And now, to Wyatt, we've chosen this main mission, Singh said. The man is Dalen Brock, your brother. Dun dun dun!
Oh no. Who would have thought in a Star Wars thing?
Lannery reeled. She never suffered from such space sickness. The Force settled her as it did all Jedi, but she seemed to sway in her seat. Though she did not move, dizziness swept through her. Through the Peacemaker was as stable as the ground it rested upon it. No, she said, frowning. Dalen died 9 years ago. You found no body, Zhang said. I found his clothing, shredded and bloodied. We have no reason to doubt our sources, Limey said. And I have no reason to believe them, Lorraine said. Silence in the room, a loaded hush. Your reason is what we order this. Your reason is any small element of doubt that exists even over your brother's death. Your reason is that, if this is true, he might be a threat to Tython. Your brother might destroy everything you love. He fled. I found his clothing down deep in the old city. You see, Lemmy asked, as if he was reading her thoughts. For all Lorraine knew, he had, and she did not question that. He was a temple master, after all, and she only a ranger. Confused as she was, she could not help her thoughts betraying her. He was always looking to the stars, Lorraine said softly. We hear whisperings of an organization, a loose collection of people calling themselves stargazers. Yes, Lannery said, remembering her little brother, always looking downward to the depths of space as she looked inward. Find your brother, Lamy said. Bring him back to Tython. Stop his foolish schemes. He won't come back, Lannery said. If it really is him, he'll never return after so long. So young when he died, but even then he was growing too. To hate the Jedi, Zhang said, all the more reason to bring him back to us. And if he refuses,
we must kill him.
That's an unusual response, isn't it?
That's a smart response. We're just gonna have to kill him either way.
You're a Jedi Ranger, Lamia said. And in a way, Lorraine knew what the answer was enough. I need everything you know. It's already being downloaded to your ship's computer. Lannery, unsurprised as their forwardness, they'd known that she could not say no. This is a covert operation, Zhang said. Rumors of a hypergate persist, but the knowledge that someone is trying to initiate it might cause panic. We could send a larger force against Dalian, but that would be much more visible. And there's a deeper truth, Lemmy said. You don't want people supporting his cause, Lanori said. If news of his plan spread, many more might attempt to initiate the gate. More devices, more dark matter. more devices, more nukes. Got it.
Even in the Star Wars universe, you're not safe from a fucking nuke. What'd you do today? A giant fucking nuke went off, survived it just barely.
Lammy smiled and nodded. You are perceptive and wise, Lannery. The threat is severe. We are relying on you. Flattery, Master? Lannery said, her voice lighter. A ripple of laughter passed through the assembled Jedi Master. Honesty, Lammy said. He grew serious once again. And that was a shame. A smile suited him. As ever, I am giving you everything I have. May the Force go with you, Lammy said. Lannery stood, bowed, and she approached the closed door. Lammy opened it with a wave of his hand. She paused once before leaving, turned back. Master Zing, please relay my love to my mother and father. Tell them I'll see them soon. Zing nodded and smiled as Lannery left the room. She almost felt her little brother's hand on her own. Don't kill me, big sis. Gonna have to.
I'm so sad. Not really. Bang. You were meant to save us, not join them.
On her way back to her peacemaker, a riot of emotions played across Lannery's mind. Beneath them all was a realization that was a little surprise to her. She was glad that Dahl was still alive, and this, she knew, was why she had been chosen for this mission. There were her past achievements, true, and though only in her mid-20s, she had already served the Jedi well. Her affinity with the Force and the Jedi purpose and outlook was pure. But her personal involvement might be her greatest asset. Which is funny because in the later Jedi Order, personal involvement would cause them to send someone else, anyone else.
Look, you don't. It doesn't matter. It's Star Wars.
It matters to me, damn it.
Well, no one gives a crap about your feelings and matters. Just suck it up and read.
Because she had failed to save her brother's life once, she would not let him go again. She would do everything she could to save Dahl from danger and from damnation. And that determination would serve her mission well. But she knew that it might also compromise her assignment. She breathed deeply and calmed herself, knowing that she would have to keep her emotions in check. 2 young Jedi apprentices passed her by, a boy and a girl. They might have well been brother and sister, and for a fleeting moment they reminded her of Dahl and herself. They bowed respectfully, and she nodded back, seeing the esteem in their eyes, and perhaps a touch of awe. Lannery, whose loose trousers and wrapped shirt, simmer silk jacket, and leather boots and equipment belt, her flowing red scarves were from one of the finest clothing stores in Kalimar. The silver bangles on her left wrist bore precious stones from the deep mines of Skagora, a gift from the Wookiee family she'd grown close to during her time there. Her sword was carried in a leather sheath fashioned from bright green skin of a screech lizard from one of Ugri's 3 missions. 3 moons. Moons. Brain, work with the mouth, please.
No.
had these exotic adornments to her 6-foot frame, startling gray eyes, and long, flowing auburn hair clasped in a dozen metal clips, and she knew she cut an imposing figure. "Ranger," the young girl said. Lannery paused and turned and saw that the two children had stopped. They were staring at her, but with a little more than fascination. They had purpose. "Children," Lannery said, raising an eyebrow. The girl came forward, one hand in the pocket of her woven trousers. Lannery sensed the force flowing strongly in them both. There was assuredness, to their movement that made her sad. With her and Dal, it had been so difficult. He had never understood the force, and as they'd grown older together, that confusion had turned into rejection, a growing hatred, and then something far worse. "Master Dumpal asked that I give you this," the girl said. She held out a small message pod the size of her thumb. She said, "It's said for your eyes only." A private message from Dumpal, beyond the ears and eyes of the rest of the Jedi. This was intriguing. Lannery took the pod and pocketed. "Thank you," she said. "What's your name?" But the girl and boy hurried away toward Lami's peacemaker, a gentle breeze ruffling their hair. The ship's engines were already starting to cycle. Iron Hogue stood at the base of her ship's ramp. It clicked and rattled as she approached. "All good?" she asked absently. The droid confirmed that yes, all was good. Lonery paused on the ramp and looked around. The Master's peacemaker and several smaller escort ships were already lifting away. And further afield there were only the hillsides and the ancient standing stones, placed countless millennia ago to honor long-forgotten gods. The feeling of being watched came from elsewhere. The Jedi Masters. They were waiting for her departure. "Okay then," Lannery said. She walked up the ramp and into the comforting, familiar confines of her own ship. But she was distracted. This short time on Tython, and hearing of Dal's mysterious survival, was waking those troubled memories once again.
Was that one chapter?
That was one chapter.
That only took, an hour?
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on that chapter, Lich?
It's what I expect from Star Wars. The plot twist, just the normal stuff.
Tell me about it. I'm trying to kind of visualize. So this is before they had lightsabers, so they're just carrying.
God damn it!
What?
He said visualize, and the first thing that popped in my head was a Wookiee in Oriental clothes.
Maybe we should have Trey make that as a shirt at some point.
Yeah.
Just a Wookiee in Oriental clothes saying, "I'm Zay."
The second thing that pops into mind is every time she calls her ship the Peacemaker, all I'm thinking is, why is she flying around in a giant fucking revolver?
I think we've got enough time for another chapter. Chapter 2, The Great Journey. You know what? Actually, let's hold off for that until tomorrow and just discuss this current chapter that we just finished. So, okay, what we know so far is like, I liked how they kind of tried to start it out with, like, kind of introducing you with a little bit with the character. But I do think it's kind of jarring how it's just like, shing, you know, you're cut off from this thing of no introduction, nothing. You just get an alarm blares, and you're going, wait, what's going on? Because
I mean, again, that's Star Wars. That's anything that's trying to put a memory into a beginning to something to start a film at current time.
yeah. But, I find it funny, it's just like, my brother's been dead for 9 years. Are you sure about that?
You know how many people die in Star Wars universe and, you know, are presumed dead and are alive? A lot. The only way you can actually truly die in the Star Wars universe is apparently your planet blowing up.
Unless you're maybe Han Solo. But, it is one of those things that... Okay, so...
It's trying to get us all fuck up, but, you know... It's jarring, but...
Yeah.
I think all books are supposed to be jarring to some degree, usually in the beginning.
But I think this is going to be it for now, guys. We'll probably get back to reading another chapter tomorrow and live reading. Hopefully some more people might show up. Who knows? But thanks for watching, everyone.